This is Programmers Are Evil. This is, as it turns out, in case anyone was curious, was the one presentation I proposed to Linux Fest Northwest that almost didn't make it in. My good friend James, who is one of the main organizers, was like, no, I'm not letting Brian do that. So he's like, no, I voted against you, man. Screw that. But I sneaked it in anyway. So literally, this is probably the weirdest thing I've done. I mean, I complain about a lot of stuff. It's kind of what I do. But this one is a little bit weird because we're going to touch on some things in some very esoteric ways, and I'm going to try and convince you that programmers are evil. Not that there's some bad software out there, but that programmers in their hearts are bad people. That is the goal here. We have about 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm going to try and convince you of that. My name is Brian Lunduke. I was a software developer, kind of still am, for a long, long time. Been a software developer for more platforms than I can shake a stick at, done Palm OS applications and Windows applications and all sorts of stuff. And I've also spent a lot of time managing software developers over the years. I know how awful they are. I know how black and icy and tar-filled their hearts are. And that is what we're going to talk about. And to start it out, there's really no better way to prove to you conclusively than to talk about Arkansas. So this is the state of Arkansas. Who's been to Arkansas? Liars. So here's the thing. I have been to essentially every state in the Union more times than I can possibly count. I love doing road trips. It's kind of a thing I enjoy doing. I'm the kind of guy that drives around the United States and searches for those big balls of twine. I want to see them. I want to go to the barbecue place. I actually have a book at home that lists all the barbecue restaurants in every state of the Union because I want to check them off. So I've driven all over the place. I have driven above Arkansas, to the side of Arkansas, all the way around Arkansas. I've made plans to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, literally almost 10 times. And I say almost 10 times because I can't remember if it's 8 or 9, but it's a lot. It's a lot of times. I have never stepped foot in the state of Arkansas. One time I was in Memphis. Let's go to Little Rock. Blizzard. Couldn't go to Arkansas. Constantly couldn't get there. Why do I mention this? Well, because Arkansas is kind of like zombie code. It's a bit of a stretch, I know. But so much code gets written that never gets executed. How many people are software developers? All right. Do you have projects that have been around for a couple of years that have code that doesn't actually get executed anymore? Right? Now, in the software development world, a lot of QA people will automate software testing in order to determine adequate what they call code coverage. Meaning, like, have we actually tested all the source code that's in there before we ship it, right? And so there's tools out there that will automate the application, whether it's Firefox or whatever, and actually analyze which pieces, which lines of code actually get run. And what's amazing is that the bigger and the longer running a project is, the less code gets actually run. That means that not that the code can't be run, but it means that the developers of the code have forgotten how to run it. They've forgotten what buttons to push or what keys to press or what sort of things to do to actually make that code do a thing. That happens constantly. And in the end, what occurs is you end up with friggin' Arkansas. And no one goes there. But once you do, assumedly, you can never escape. Eventually, all zombie code wakes up. And what do zombie things do when they wake up? Anybody know this? Consume brains, etc. At Arkansas, these sorts of things happen. Essentially, software developers are the equivalent of the scientists that work at the Umbrella Corporation. That's basically what we are. We don't mean to. Like, software developers, right? Software developers, did you intend to write code that would never get run? No. Was that your purpose? Did you intend for significant portions of your functions to just stop being executed entirely? That was the goal, right? Never. That's never the goal. You don't want to write code that never gets run. But it happens. You can't help it, because in your heart you are driven by something black and dark, right? Is there another explanation? I don't think there is. What is this? It's a zipper. More specifically, it's a zipper without a pocket. Do any of you have these? Like on pants or jackets, where it's like a decorative damn zipper that you can unzip and zip right back up, but you can't stick anything in it? It's not a real pocket. Half of my wife's pants are zippers with no pockets in them, so I have to hold all of her stuff. They could have put a pocket in there, but they opted out of it just because, well, you gotta have a zipper there, right? But there's no pocket. What is the point of this? Does anyone know what the point of this would be?
Fashion.
All of your answers are dumb. Fake pockets. Does anyone want fake pockets? Does anyone set out and say, I want fake pockets? That was adorable. Oh, who has kids? Kids, all right. Toddler pants with drawstrings that don't do anything. Have you guys seen this? This is a real friggin' thing. My son has these sweatpants that have little fake drawstrings on the front. They're for looks. They don't pull. There's not a string that goes around. Don't raise your hand. Are you excited about this? Put your hand down. No. I don't care what you say. They don't do anything. I put them on, and the friggin' pants just fall off. They could use a drawstring, but they have fake ones. Someone decided, I'm going to put that on. Nobody asked for these. Nobody wants these. Nobody does. Well, one kid did. But I mean, otherwise, these are ridiculous. These are features, right? These are added features that people have added in on purpose, like this. What is that? That's the ribbon UI. Did anyone email Microsoft and say, please change your toolbars to look like this? Did anybody do that? Anybody? I'm not arguing whether or not this is good or not. It's not, by the way. This is terrible. But no one asked for this. And someone said, you know what? I'm going to force it on people. I'm going to make sure those bastards in the public use this. Why would someone do that? Unless they're really bad people. I know this may feel like a stretch, but after a while, you start seeing these patterns emerging, one thing after another, and there's not an explanation for it other than pure badness. Also, this problem right here. Websites, word processing documents are getting bigger and slower. This is an unrefutable fact. None of those were words. This is something that is not good and we cannot disregard it. Every single word I said didn't make sense. Matt, why can I not speak? Is speaking that hard?
Talky hard now.
Talky hard now, agreed. Has anybody gone to a simple website and looked at the memory usage of Firefox or Chrome or whatnot? This website is linuxtycoon.com. It is a simple HTML page with no JavaScript, no CSS, no nothing. It is like 2 HTML tables and a couple of tiny JPEGs. That is it. There's just nothing on there. It takes 629.4 megabytes of RAM. There is nothing else running. This is just the web browser with the simplest, I believe the entire website is 6K with the images. 629.4 megabytes of RAM.
How many plugins you got?
That's a lot of
Almost none. That's a pretty bare bones Firefox. This is Netscape Navigator 3.0.1 running on an old Mac. Does anyone notice how much RAM it's taking?
Wow.
Notice that? It's 9 megabytes. Let's go ahead and compare those two numbers really quick. 629 megabytes or 9 megabytes. Quick poll. Which one is better? Which would you prefer? Let's go you right there. 9 megabytes is better. This is controversial. Can anyone disagree with this? Can anyone make a case for 629 is better?
Bigger is better.
Hold on. I believe this lady has a highly intellectual idea here.
I would
Yes.
prefer the browser that's capable of loading other sites as well as just the bare bones thing.
You're not fun. Nope. So, this is 9 megabytes. This entire machine has what, 64 megs? This is actually running in an emulator of a 68K Macintosh. Now, speed-wise, loads about the same, right? Loads about the same. i7 running natively on Linux. A 68K Macintosh emulator with 64 megabytes of RAM running a really old system, all load about the same speed. So I'll give that to Firefox. It's at least as fast as its predecessor was on an insanely slower machine. Not any faster, mind you, but it's at least as fast as that. I mean, granted, it takes literally hundreds and hundreds of times more RAM, but no big deal. Also, this isn't Firefox's fault. This isn't Chrome's fault. They are simply one aspect of the developer community that is just awful. Also, website designers. That is doom. Most major news websites and corporate websites, just the front pages are roughly the size of Doom now, in bytes. Does anyone realize that?
That's scary.
I mean, it's damned frightening is what it is. We're talking between 3 and 5 megs for a page. A page, right? Now, Doom was an entire 3D and gaming engine with a networking stack and levels and was wonderful and was groundbreaking and revolutionary, as opposed to, well, just like a page, like CNN.com, that's one little page. So it's not just the web developers, and it's not just the people building the web browsers, and it's not just people building Microsoft Office or LibreOffice that are the blame. It's literally everyone writing code is writing code that is getting exponentially larger and slower. Now, we could say, perhaps they are lazy. We could say that, but I don't think that's really true. I think for the most part, developers are pretty smart, right? Would anyone say developers are stupid? No. Sometimes they're pretty stupid. But for the most part, right, we're pretty well educated, smart group of people, right? We come up with cool engineering solutions to solve some of the world's most interesting problems. And we do so by making our web pages larger than very, very complex 3D video games. 4 pages. Why would we choose to do that? Here's an interesting test to do. Go to any, let's say, news or forum type website that you like, that's been around for more than, say, 5 to 10 years. You know, like a CNN.com or all the different websites. Go to the archive.org snapshot of it from 10 years ago and look at it today and do a size test. It's insane. And the content hasn't really grown. It's roughly the same layout. It looks roughly the same, got roughly the same info. It's just bigger and slower now. That's literally all you get for it. Why? Advertisements, please. They had banner ads 10 years ago. What's this? This is a refrigerator from a country that I do not recognize, because most of these things, I went online and started looking for a picture of a fridge that was like labeled for reuse in ways that I could use it today. And this was the first one that I found, and being as I couldn't pronounce hardly anything in there, I went with it. I'm gonna walk you through something here. I'm gonna tell you a story, a little anecdote, and I think we can all relate to this. Clear your minds. Imagine that you are in bed. Well, let's say it's 11 p.m. at night, right? You haven't gone to bed yet because you were just marathoning, let's say, Game of Thrones or something, right? Now you need a snack, real bad. So you get up, you walk to the kitchen, you open up the door, right? You're thinking, I'm gonna grab myself a drink, maybe some leftovers, a little Chinese food, something. You open up the fridge. There's a can of, I think that's soda down there. I'm not sure what Volvic is. I don't know what a lot of these things are. I do not have culture. But you grab something. Let's assume it's a soda, right? It may be 11 p.m., but you're an adult. We're all adults here. We can grab a damn soda at 11 p.m. if we want one, right? So you go to grab it. You reach out and you go to grab it, and the very second you almost grab that soda disappears, the eggs on top come down to the bottom, and you grab the eggs and they crush in your hand. There's egg crap everywhere. That's what's known as a dynamically loading fridge. I kind of feel like that made the point. Also, on the dynamically loading front, what the hell is with the thing where you load up the web page and instead of loading the text, it loads little gray bars where the text is gonna be one day, and then it eventually fills it in? Who came up with that? Does anyone know? Because I would like to fight them. Advertisers.
It grabs everything from databases.
Here's the thing. There's no such thing as advertisers. There's human beings who are evil who I want to fight. I mean, seriously, dynamic page loading doesn't make pages load faster. It actually makes pages load slower because there's pauses as it has to wait because it loaded some of it, pause, load a little more data. So it didn't make your pages load faster, it made it actually load slower. They're lying to you just so that you'll grab an egg. And on the same token, the same thing of the types of things that are being thrust upon us. How many pieces of software do we need to have on our friggin' desktops that are reliant on not just the internet existing, but an exact specific website with a specific domain name and a specific file structure sitting somewhere waiting to authorize your use or provide you with some core functionality that otherwise your application will just die? Almost all of the major suites are like this now. Firefox ties back into multiple server backends where it just starts to choke if it's offline. Half of everything, I'm pointing at one guy that works at Microsoft, but half of everything Microsoft makes ties back into specific servers. And over time, those servers go away. How about this? We all run Linux. Linux has software repositories to get updates from, right? What happens when those servers go away? Just recently, I had these little handheld devices called a pocket chip. Awesome. The company's gone now. They just a couple days ago took the servers down. All the repositories are gone. I can't, yes, guys holding up a pocket chip, they're friggin' rad. Totally gone, and there's like community work underway to try and recreate them on our own, to try and keep the platform from being completely obliterated and dead. But because they were built in such a way as to be somewhat reliant on a server, including the way they handled flashing the ROMs and everything else, they're pretty much dead now. Because those websites went away, because those services went away. Most video games are like that nowadays, most. Most video games are reliant on a specific server, not on internet access, but an exact specific version of a server running at a specific IP address and domain all the time, never changing. GeoCities doesn't run anymore. No servers that we currently have right now will run 15 years from now. End of story. I mean, maybe like a couple of weird like COBOL servers that are like running some weird DMV thing, but other than that, it's all gonna be gone. All of it. Servers don't last forever. They don't. They change or they go away, which means the software we have right now cannot last into infinity, which means that the software developers creating them do not want you to be able to reminisce about your software. If I want to play a video game that from my childhood, I blow on the cartridge, stick it in, push it down, and turn it on. and then I take it out and blow on it again and stick it in and turn it on. But it works because it's not tied to anything. The games nowadays, I won't be able to reminisce about with my kids 20 years from now. I won't be able to sit down with my grandkids and show them the games I was playing online in 30 years. I won't be able to do it. Like maybe there'll be one or two exceptions here or there where a huge community will have poured like countless hours into recreating something, but that takes huge amounts of work and usually doesn't happen. In most cases, there is zero benefit to the user or the company to create those reliances. It's all garbledygook. They just want to add it so they can add a buzzword, or because they're bad people. Which means things are not built to last. How many people here have played around with some of like the package container formats like AppImage or Snappy or whatnot? Okay, a couple of you. So there's a benefit to those, right? Let's say for AppImage, for example, if you're on Linux and you have AppImage, one of the real benefits is it pulls together all the various dependencies all into one little file. And the great part about that is you can pull in dependencies that are like 20 years old and have them dynamically loaded from this one app image. So you can actually do weird things like run like early 1990s versions of NCSA Mosaic on a modern like Linux distribution. It's crazy, but it's cool that you can do it. So we have to actually constantly engineer ways to run software that we ran just fine some years back. Things are simply not built to last anymore. In fact, it's not just that we have a hard time running 20-plus-year-old NCSA Mosaic. It's that sometimes it's hard to even run 2-year-old LibreOffice. Dependencies get all out of whack, systems just can't handle it, and you can't run older software. Why would things not be built to last? Why would we build software, or games, or anything? That's a rhetorical question. Put that down. What?
But most people
You
hate
want-
their own code.
Do you hate your code?
Yes.
You hate your code? You're a self-hating coder. That's awesome. I love my code. My code is tight. I want to talk about containers for a second here. I want to talk about the Docker virus. So can anyone explain to me why all of a sudden every goddamn thing in the world has to be in a container? It is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Not every problem requires an application to be in its own friggin' container. It's not a solution to things. It's just ridiculous. I don't have a point here beyond, oh my God. There has to be a point. How many talks are at this conference alone about containers? It's bonkers. Not that containers are bad. No one go to the container talks and say, Brian Lunduke hates you. Like, no. It's not the answer to every problem. It's sort of like someone coming in saying, you know, you're running an application, but you should have really written in Java so it could run everywhere. That's the solution to everything being portable. No, not everything needs to be a web application running an Electron. Not everything needs to be in a container, whether it's Docker or what have you. Sometimes it's okay to not use the latest and greatest buzzword technology. I just would like to put that out there and feel free to tell people that it's okay to make things without that buzzword technology. Looking at you, Microsoft. Thank you. So, okay. So the big thing here is most people, when I talk about these sorts of problems, and come on, most of these issues that I come across are the same issues that most of us have. I mean, you might she's furrowing her brow. I love it. She's like, no. I like it. Most people would say, but those aren't the developer's decisions, right? I mean, most developers take marching orders from a program manager or a UX designer or something, right? I mean, no?
I do it every day.
You do?
No,
Yeah, you say.
not best practices.
Did
No,
you
I'm
just?
not gonna make more work for
Hold
myself.
on. One word. You say no.
No.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about here.
Don't become the slave to your paycheck so they can hold it over your head and make you
Bingo.
do bad features.
Bingo. You become a slave to the paycheck, and so you just do whatever horrible things they ask. To my mind, so bad things happen when good coders do nothing. No bad feature no bloated feature, no annoying things that sends us back in time and breaks all of our software can be implemented without all of you doing it. You are the gatekeepers to our software being good or bad. No PM, no general manager, no executive vice president of doodads can make the world worse. Only you can. You have power. They do not. End of story. I was a software developer for about a decade, and then I got into management. And one thing I quickly learned in management is I was powerless and pointless. I spent years as a VP of engineering. My only important job was hiring good engineers. That was the only valuable contribution I had to those companies. Did I do good at that? I think so, because I found engineers that agreed with me on things. But once the engineers were there, it was up to them to be awesome or not awesome. We could make the best software in the world if they decided to. The UX designers, the graphic designers, myself, we could come up with ideas and float it past them. But especially the non-technical people, their ideas were mostly horrible, right? I mean, we've all been in meetings where people were like, we wanted to do this. We want this feature and this feature and this feature, and let's ship it on the same timeline we originally had. Is it okay if we add those things? Sure it is. Let's do that, right? Oh, why is it buggy now? How come it slipped by a week? Oh, this must be the developer's fault. All these sorts of things are common, angsty, horrible things that give us all ulcers, right? However, it is up to the developers to say no. I simply decided to do this presentation because every single company I've been at for the last 20 years, it was so rare that developers stood up and defiantly said this far and no farther. To draw that line in the sand like that guy. Be like that guy. He said no. And sometimes you have to say no, because the reality is, all those things that I pointed out, those are real problems. Some people may view them as not that big of a deal, or problems with a good side, so maybe it's valuable in the long run that everything's tied to a stupid server that's going to go obsolete in a few years. Maybe you can use some sort of twisted, black-hearted logic to make that happen, but the reality is, the only way bad things happen is if the developers want it to. Which means if bad things are happening, I feel like that either made my point or everyone's going to disagree with me. So that's probably fantastic. That's it. That's literally all I wanted to talk about. That's it. That's it. Questions? Questions? No? No? See? This is really straightforward. One guy's got his hand up. He's had his hand up since almost the beginning. She's just going to disagree with me, though. Hold on. I'm going to ask you secondly, because you're going to disagree with me again, and I like that, but this better be good, dude.
This is a very serious technical question. Have you ever given a toddler pants with an actual drawstring?
Have I ever given toddler pants with a drawstring? I have.
Because if you give the user something powerful enough, they might just think it's
All right, the man makes a good point. I'm going to repeat that because the microphone needs to pick this up. Sometimes when you give a user something powerful enough, they can kind of hang themselves with it, like a toddler with a drawstring.
Or they'll just take it all the way out and just break the whole thing.
And you know what? My toddler's done that. My toddler's done that with my drawstrings. He grabbed onto my hoodie, yank, now my hoodie got no drawstring. Here's the thing, though. If it doesn't need a drawstring, why would you put something that looks like a drawstring there? That's sort of like, hold on, let's go back. Not there, there. Let's implement a ribbon UI, but all of these buttons do nothing. They're just there visually. That's sort of like a toddler pants with drawstrings that do nothing. That's ridiculous. No, wrong, you.
So,
Yes. Oh, dear Lord, you did this. All right, I'm ready.
Keep building better and better technology. Then doesn't that imply that the old stuff is bad or worse somehow? And in that case, why should we support code that's worse than what we've got now?
All right, let's pick this apart because that was good. All right, to start with, one, I would debate the better and better technology. I'd say that, but then honestly, there's a little thing in the back of my head that goes, you know, in some ways, the old ways were better. For example, just as an example, the Intel and AMD software exploits that could exploit the CPUs, right? Spectre and Meltdown. Well, those chips are fast, right? They're using all sorts of cool techniques to make your code execute faster, right? Little predictive loading and all sorts of things. An old 6502 processor does not have those exploits. Cannot have those exploits. Is it a slower processor? Yes. Is it older? Oh, yeah. But it's a hell of a lot more secure. A hell of a lot more. So, from a certain standpoint, we haven't really gotten any better. In fact, in many ways, we've gotten significantly worse, which made me forget everything else you said. You, sir.
You're saying we should just never develop anything ever, and don't change anything.
Any other questions? Yes.
You see, the drawstrings are like, they're there for decoration, kind of like the reason girls wear makeup.
So the drawstrings that go nowhere are like makeup.
Yeah, you don't need makeup, you just choose to wear it.
Huh. Would you say that holds true for the zippers that go nowhere?
You can fit a pen in those zippers. I have fit a pen there. Okay?
You can fit a pen in those zippers? I take it back then. Those zippers are rad.
Would you change your mind if they were buttons and not zippers?
Would I change my mind if they were buttons and not zippers? Of course they are. Buttons are awesome. Yes, naysay Nancy.
So if computers are the worst thing and newer computers are bad and all
Whoa! All right. Let's dial back the rhetoric, lady. That's my job. Okay. Go ahead. What were you saying?
So if
Sorry.
computers are so terrible, why are you using so many of them? You don't
Oh, yeah.
like need them.
I use non-stop numbers of them, and they are insecure and awful. Yes. Yeah. Right. Are you a software developer?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Okay. Why do you do it?
Many reasons.
Bingo. Cool people build stuff, tinkering. We're tinkerers, right? Like all of us here, every single one of us is a tinkerer, whether we admit it or not, whether we're software developers or not. Even if our machines suck, we're still going to tinker with them, right? And then we're going to complain about them, and then we're going to whine about them with our friends, and we're going to talk about how we wish someone would build a better system over a burger, and then we're not going to do it.
Yeah, have you seen the paper recently written on the guy measured keyboard latencies from the Apple II to the modern i7?
Yes!
And found that the Apple II had an actual faster,
Yes.
had a lower latency
Yes.
when you type and when you see on the screen. On an Apple II, it was faster than on a modern i7 with its keyboard latency.
Get out of my head. Yes. So this is actually a very real thing. I did a video on this, I don't know when, but this is a very real thing. I spend probably half my day just writing things. So I just sit down and type. And I have nice machines. This machine is kind of friggin' rad, right? It just transcodes the video in HD and other things on the fly. There is this slightly perceptible delay every time I press a key. It drives me insane. I have also, even more so than the old Apple II, I have a TRS-80 Model 100, little battery-powered machine that measures the amount of available RAM in bytes, and there's not very many of them. When I push a key, it's instant. Now, I know a lot of you out there are going, what is he talking about? I push keys all the time. Let her show right up. There's a difference. If you sit down and make yourself a task. Write one page of text, just whatever. Hi, I'm whatever, I'm hanging out. I like pancakes. And you just type for a little bit. Stop. Go over to an old Apple II, a Commodore 64, a TRS-80 Model 100, a Coco, one of those old machines. Type the same text while watching the screen and just touch typing. You will find that your whole feeling about the universe improves. And that's not a nostalgia thing. It's an immediate response thing. You feel like you are in control of your machine. That has gone away. And there's many reasons for that. The USB hub in there adds a little bit of latency. This keyboard is wireless. adds a little bit of latency both in the chip here and in the transmission and in the USB dongle that receives it and in the bus line, and then it gets intercepted by software. Now, if you go to old machines, a lot of them are hardware intercept, like old PS2 keyboards. Click, electricity, and it goes in, boom, letter comes up. Different, totally different design approach, but now which way is better? One is faster. One has more immediate response. Right, but I'm sitting here with this wireless USB keyboard that has a latency that I might as well walk away after I press a button, right? It's friggin' stupid. But yet I chose this one. Why do I make such bad decisions in life? Yes.
So, going back to an earlier comment, if you think buttons are so awesome, then why do you hate the ribbon UI?
Is he using logic on me? What is this? Yeah. Yeah.
Back around to your premise at least, though. All the reasons you listed for doing what you do are all selfish.
Oh, wait. Repeat that, because that was interesting.
Yeah.
So,
You asked why do you program, why do you work, why do you write code?
Yeah.
All the reasons that we came up with so far are all selfish.
yes.
So we're all
Evil it's a very good point. All of the reasons I code and I tinker with computers are, for the most part, pretty selfish. Now, we're all supporters of open source and free software here, right? Pretty fair assumption. Even Microsoft guy. You identified yourself. Sorry, man. Normally, I pick on a guy from Fedora, but he's not here today.
It's not cool.
It's okay to distro bash against Microsoft. That's cool.
Platform back. Basically looks, well, does not.
Whoa! I see where you were going. All right. Oh, I cannot. No. No, but he makes a very good point. Most of the reasons that most of us develop software are pretty selfish reasons. And then in the end, we do so in ways that actually end up causing people pain. Why do we do that? Why can't we just... I mean, let's say we keep the selfish reasons, because there's some good selfish reasons, right? Like, everyone loves a little bit of money. I love some cheddar, right? Give Papa some money. But just the same, can't I do it in a way that doesn't hurt people? Can't I? Yes, Microsoft.
Code can be a big pain when all the people who know how the thing works leave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Or die, yes. I mean, yes.
So like Windows kernel.
Or the latency is because we program usually in higher level programming languages, like maybe Go for web scripting. We recoded it like when something with C controlling the individual.
Are you
bits.
suggesting that part of the problem is that we're using higher level languages more often? That's part of the problem?
Less abstraction.
That, you know what? Maybe you make a really good point. I mean, maybe if we got back down to the metal and we really programmed our computer, not our virtual machine inside a virtual machine inside of an interpreter, on top of our hypervisor, on top of our Docker instance, on top of our kernel, maybe then we'd be a little bit better at making stuff that was more performant and long-lasting. I mean, it's a... Ooh.
Write your Linux Tycoon website with a web server and assembly.
Honestly, rebuilding my web server in assembly would be rad, but I'm lazy. Yes.
I think all this boils down to is essentially laziness, because
yes,
we're talking about old code, we're talking about using higher level languages, we're talking about what else? It all boils down to laziness, like.
Big code, slow code, interconnected code, dependencies that never get updated, and yes.
Not being willing to explain to the people we're working for why our solution is superior, or going overboard in doing so. I think it all boils down to laziness.
So what you're saying is developers aren't evil; they're just terribly, terribly lazy bastards.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. Can we agree on that? Wait. I've got a critic. Can we agree that we are all lazy and terrible and selfish, but not evil? Can we go with that?
I was going to bring in inclusivity as well.
Inclusivity?
There's like so few people who can actually write a web server in assembly. But if you give them higher level languages and tools and stuff, then there's many more people who can write their own web servers.
There's
How
just
does
too
that
lazy
tie
to
in
learn
to
the
the
local
ethics of it?
Inclusivity?
Words there.
Man, all right, so you're saying that in order to be an inclusive, accepting developer community, we need to code everything in JavaScript?
I'm saying that when we try to make it possible for more people to code, we will get more skill levels of people coding and more code written by people of a low skill level.
But
Here,
that's what got us into this mess.
No, wait. She makes a good point, though. That's actually a pretty good point. Now, is that inclusivity, that ability to bring in everybody who can barely code and help them to code our software, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That depends on the moral system you're using to evaluate.
That depends on the moral system. Okay, well, here's the cool thing about moral systems is mine is absolute. So, I'm sorry. I feel like that's the perfect spot to end on.